Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. So glad you could join me here today, episode 2681. That's where all the show notes will live for the day. I'm going to be going through a brand new water test you can do right at home on your own tap water or your own water filters. It is a basic test, but it covers all of the foundational things you want to look for. I'll share with you then on my resources page how you can do a much more in-depth water test as well. That's a simple mail-away one. I have two product reviews for you today, both of them being used in the natural anti-cancer based remedy realm. What I want to do is simply share with you some research on those, of course, not providing any medical advice, medical treatment plans, or diagnostics on the show, and so much more. So let's dive right into the show. I always like to give you a little personal update in the beginning of the show, kind of where we're at in the private practice as well. You know, things move so quick with, a total of 52 weeks in the year. When I look at it as like little bite-sized check-ins with you every single Friday. Partially, I do it to keep myself accountable, to keep myself on track. But I also want to share like as a living documentary of what's going on and really how we're building this virtual functional medicine practice, integrative health practice with people all over the world. And we've been doing this now. It's not like it's been an overnight thing that we've created. I would say from a virtual perspective, an online perspective, I mean, we've been doing it since around 2010, 2011, but really probably got into it to a far greater degree around 2016 is really when we started doing like 50% of our appointments there, 2017. And then 2019, we brought it all online. So in that time, we now ship to 27 countries all around the world, the first company to bring at-home lab testing really to the masses. And we're trying to introduce as many free to low-cost at-home lab tests as possible, simply because I share with people and I share my story that if I had never done at-home lab testing, there is no way I would have got well. There's just no way I would have healed because there's no way I would have figured out the underlying root causes. So that's why I love being able to kind of share this because so much has been going on over the last year and more will be happening as we just progress over the next 12 months. So I love being able to share this with you. What do we have going on right now? Well, for me, I'm headed back to New England for the summer. One of my favorite places to be, obviously. I lived there pretty much my entire life. Just moved maybe a year and a half ago, but every single summer, heading back to New England and just being able to enjoy 8 weeks, 10 weeks or so with family and just like just for where we go, just a little bit more relaxed, a calmer way of life. And even though I'm still working, my daughters are out of school, we see family more often, the weekends are basically big gatherings. It's a lot of fun. It's really enjoyable. And I really look at this as its own season, its own time. So while I can't forget about the rest of my life, I do really try to focus, be even more present during this time with a lot of family-based time. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm excited about it. And really, I've shared with my team, I've canceled all of my flight travel trips that I was planning on going. I typically do one a month. And I just said, no, it's not happening in June, not happening in July, and not happening at least for the first 2 weeks of August before my daughters head back to school. And we head back as well. So, for me, that's important because I want to stay closer to home for these next 10 weeks or so. And we all kind of think of it from our own perspective. And again, what season we are in life, where we're literally are in terms of mindset. And my mindset right now is staying closer to family, enjoying this time. It goes by so quickly, even though it sounds like a large amount of time. So for me, unless it's a 3-hour drive or less, because that's basically my limit in terms of driving, then it's going to wait until the second half of August. And I think that's okay sometimes. I really do. I believe that there's a time to really dive in, work hard, and there's a time to play and to relax to a greater degree. And for me, this is now that playtime, we'll say, but at the same time, understanding that once the second week of August hits, or third week, we'll say, all right, my travel's back. I have trips to the West Coast. I have trips that I'll be planning for speaking-based engagements that I've already committed to. And then we have our big event in October as well that I'll be prepping for, which is down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And obviously, we would love to have you join us. You can find out more about that event at reimagininghealthevent.com. Check it out. Your peers will be there. Our health community from all over the world will be there. A lot of practitioners as well. So great group, great mix of people. All right. And next week, too, I wanted to share this with you, is our summer detox. It's about a week early this year. Why that's important? You will be completed with it by the 4th of July. So if you're here in the U.S., and you are celebrating the 4th of July as kind of your official kickoff to summer, we'll say, and then you've got like a 2-month countdown, right? July and August until Labor Day. What I recommend is you kick off with that summer detox first. If you need to lose 5 pounds to 7 pounds or so, you're going to be able to do that. But also, it's all about health, right? So it's about emptying that rain barrel to a further degree. That's my reason for doing it. And I think that, once you achieve whatever it is that your body transformation is, whether you're gaining weight, whether you're losing weight, whether you're good right where you are, it should always be about health and furthering your health. And I can think of nothing better than a functional medicine detox. To find out more about that, head on over to stevencabral.com/shop. And in the search box, you can just type in detox. You can learn a lot about it. We have a free detox course you're welcome to check out. And we provide all of the ongoing support during your detox week. So whether you're doing it this week, next week, maybe you do it after the 4th of July. It's up to you, but ours kicks off on June 19th, and we would love to have you. So check that out. Right now, too, there's a nice little special going on, especially if you're doing this with a group of people. You'll want to check that out because you can get one functional medicine detox free by Equalife. So check that out at stevencabral.com/shop. All right, let's dive right into the podcast recap for the week. Monday's show was why you must change your identity. This was a big one. A lot of people, if they want to move forward in life, they have such a difficult time creating change because they are tied to who they used to be. In order for you to become who you were meant to be, you must cut ties with who you used to be. I would love for you to check out that show. Again, all of these are at stevencabral.com/podcast. Tuesday's show was how acid blockers like Zantac, Nexium, proton pump inhibitors in general, PPIs, H2 blockers, all of these things are robbing you of essential nutrients. If you have to take them, you're medically required to. I would check out that show as well because it's going to tell you what minerals and vitamins you're going to be low on. Okay, Wednesday's show, 5 facial features that reveal your heart health. Definitely check that out. That is more of a public service announcement than anything else. You should know about it for you, for your family, in your practice as well if you're a practitioner. All right, and then yesterday's show was the top 5 air purifying plants from the NASA study. So I've actually done 1.5 previous podcasts in this a few years back. What I wanted to do was make this show super simple. Just instead of the 20 plus plants they went through, give you the 5 that are actually legitimately work better than anything else. And then I even narrow that down to 3. So if you like to have plants in your home, which obviously you can see over my shoulder if you're watching this on video, I do. And not only obviously do they liven up your space, they bring nature into your home or office, but the thing is they truly do help with volatile organic compounds, CO2 and much more. All right, so that was the podcast recap of the week. Now we'll be going over the product review of the week and 2 other additional products that are also our research for the week as well. All right, first things first. This is actually a pretty hilarious story. The company's name is called Varify. Not Verify, but Varify, V-A-R-I-F-Y. We're going to be going over this right now. It is a 17-in-1 test strip. It looks very much like a urine dipstick test that I've talked about before on the show, testing for leukocytes and testing for ketones and glucose in your urine, all sorts of things. But the way that I learned about this, which is the funny part of the story, I'm at my oldest daughter's science fair. This is about 2 months ago. And I just love, going table to table, seeing what all the kids are studying, seeing what they're talking about. Obviously, some take it more serious than others. I just remember being back in fifth grade and doing a science fair. And I used to take that so seriously. Like I always loved science. I still love science, obviously, to this day. But I went through all the different ones. And I use all these fancy, at-home water testing solutions and the ones that you mail away. And again, I'll link those up for you here today, the mail away one, which is the most intricate. And I definitely do recommend that. But one you can do right at home, which I had never even heard of until I went to this fifth grade science fair, was Varify. And it is, you get 16 of these strips. It's funny, it says 17 in one. Oh, the reason is it's 16 of actual markers, which I'm gonna read you right now. Plus they give you a bacteria count kit. So I'm gonna show you how it works right now. If you're watching this on video, fantastic. We would love to have you subscribe to the show. Again, it's a daily show every single day on video. But what you do is you get these test strips, okay? I'm gonna pull one out right now. If you're listening on audio, that's totally fine as well. It looks just like a urine dipstick test. It shows all the different colors, and then all you're going to do is fill up this clear test tube with your tap water or your filtered water. I do both, right? So I test my tap water, and then I test my filtered water. And if you want to see what water filters we use, you can find them at stevencabral.com/resources. All right, once it's filled up, you just take the dipstick and you drop it into the water, okay? So now you're gonna take this out, you're gonna lay it flat on a paper towel, and you're just gonna wait about 60 seconds. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna match up your test strip with the side of the bottle. And the side of the bottle will actually tell you if your water is in the clear or not. And it goes through 16 different parameters. Let me read those to you right now. Goes over the pH of the water, the hardness of the water, goes over hydrogen sulfide, looks at iron, looks at copper, looks at lead, looks at manganese, looks at chlorine, looks at mercury, looks at nitrite, looks at nitrates, looks at sulfates, zinc, fluoride, sodium chloride, and total alkalinity. So basically what you're looking at this, like the worst of the worst would be heavy metals, all right? So this is really looking at a bunch of heavy metals. And then they give you this bacteria test for water. Basically, you're gonna fill it with water. Don't let it touch the lid. The lid is the activator. Then you're gonna shake it up essentially. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave this for 48 hours and you're just gonna see if it turns into a yellow solution, which is basically no issue. And if it's green or darker green, that means there's bacteria in your water. Super easy kit. I don't believe it's very expensive. I think it's actually very inexpensive. So the one that you send away for at home, that's a couple $100. It's an amazing test. You get hundreds of parameters, and it really tests for a lot in your water. This one called Varify, let's just see how much it costs, because I actually have no idea. It looks like it costs about $27. That obviously changes. Just keep that in mind, because from the time of me doing this podcast to years in the future, I'm sure that that this could change as well. So I'll link this up again at stevencabral.com/2681. But I can tell you, I tested it out and it does work. I think it's pretty fantastic. Okay, so next up, we're going to go over a mushroom that is actually being touted for its potential anti-cancer, anti-tumor-based efficacy. So I'm just gonna read it to you, but this is a mushroom called turkey tail. One of the reasons why it's called turkey tail is basically the way that it grows is it fans out. So it's like a fan-like shape that looks like a turkey's tail outspread. So these mushrooms grow out on trees, they grow on fallen logs. They're a fungi like all other mushrooms. So the way that the turkey tail is typically, I wouldn't say harvested, but the way that it's used is something called crestin, which is one of the active ingredients that's been used now in cancer-based treatments in Japan for decades. So it's being used for breast cancer, it's being used for lung, gastric cancers, pancreatic, and liver cancer as well. So there's about 5 total mushrooms that are really being studied for anti-cancer. Now, there are many more. So there are many more. Keep in mind, there's 100 plus. But they are, for the most part, shiitake, maitake, reishi, turkey tail, and they're, again, really being studied for their for their beta-glucans and other active ingredients. Okay, so let me just share with you just a little bit more. Clinical trial conducted in 2012 found that breast cancer patients who took capsules of powdered turkey tail mushrooms recovered immune function after radiation therapy more quickly than those who didn't take the capsules. Another study into breast cancer patients found the mushrooms appeared to boost the efficacy of chemotherapy. Other research suggests that compounds found in turkey tail mushrooms have anti-tumor properties. And I'll link up this research, of course, for you. So others of note, again, I've shared this with you, was reishi, was shiitake, was maitake, but there are others. I mean, there really are. When we start to get deeper into it, there are many powerful immune modulating mushrooms. Now, I do want to give a caveat that the mushrooms used in this study for turkey tail actually were done in conjunction with conventional medicine-based approaches. The goal, what seems to be in most cancer-based modalities, is that if you're going to use a lot of the natural health and natural healing-based ones, you really have to catch the cancer when it's smaller, stage 1, stage 2, and then maybe in conjunction with other modalities. I'm not telling you to do chemotherapy. I'm not telling you to do radiation. I'm not telling you to do only natural. What I'm sharing with you is what the best research and best science says out there, and then I need you, of course, to make the best decision for you and your family. But these are things to think about, especially if you start to see some minor lesions or things like that on a full body MRI, etc. Something to think about, okay? I'll talk more about this, of course, in the future as well. But I wanted to give you a second study. I told you I'd be doing anti-cancer today, and I am. So this one is done on a vitamin, which, again, people go back and forth whether it's a B vitamin or not a B vitamin. It doesn't really matter. It's referred to as vitamin B17. Vitamin B17 is migdalin, and it is found predominantly inside sweet apricot seeds, also called kernels. All it is the inside seed of an apricot. If you've ever seen the inside seed of an apricot, it looks pretty much like an almond, like almost exact. And it's also found sometimes to a lesser degree inside of cherry pits as well. But for the most part, people are getting them from apricots. So sweet apricot seeds, sweet apricot kernels. And what they're doing is they're either just eating them, they're hard as a rock, but you can do that, but most likely as a powder or encapsulated powder of raw, so it should be raw, this is the best research that I've seen, apricot seeds, and the active ingredient is B17, although inside of these apricot seeds are also vitamin B1, thiamine, or thiamine, depending on how you like to pronounce it, as well as vitamin B15 and 17. B17 seems to be what is the best studied right now. And again, I don't want to share with you and say that this is curing cancer, but I do want to share a study with you that says a new nicosamide derivative, B17, can inhibit urological cancer's growth through apoptosis-related pathways. All right, what does that mean? This is published on PubMed, so this is not some far out there, natural cancer-based whatever. All right, this is actually on PubMed. And here's what it found. So, nicosamide has been repurposed as an anti-cancer drug in recent years. Synthesized derivative of nicosamide was testified for its anti-cancer activity in urological cancers. Let me see if I can find something actually interesting of status here. So, apoptosis and cell cycle changes were analyzed by Annexin V and PI scanning. The apoptosis-related signal proteins were evaluated by Western blotting. Let's see. The lowest IC in nicosamide and B17 treatment. All right, so let me translate this into English. What they found was this. Early apoptosis, which means signaled cell death, was induced after nicosamide and B17 treatment through different mechanisms. All right, so what does this mean? When people consumed vitamin B17, it signaled the cancer cells to self-destruct. That's what apoptosis is. And it looks like it may even inhibit future cancer cell growth, but that remains to be seen. I will link this up for you, but there are a lot of people for many, many years who have said that vitamin B17 has helped them with tumor-based growth. I'll let you be the judge from there. I'll link up the research, enable you to make the best decisions for your family. I cannot link up any nutritional supplements from my podcast. You will have to always look for those on your own because it is against FDA regulations to do so once you start talking about medical-based terminology and medical-based dis-ease of the body. So What did I mention? I mentioned mushrooms today, namely turkey tail, but I mentioned a couple others as well. And then I mentioned the vitamin B17 coming from raw apricot seeds. And let me just see, because there's one more that I wanted to add for you. Again, I'm just always trying to do my best to be as thorough as I can, but also with the understanding that you'll continue to do additional research. There was turkey tail, reishi, maitake, shiitake, and the last one I wanted to add that you may want to look into is chaga mushroom as well. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of the week. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with the Cabral House Calls, our weekend edition of the show where we answer our community's questions each and every Saturday and Sunday. Take care. Have an amazing rest of the day. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.